project, Migrants and Refugees as Rebuilders, is a 3-year project co-founded by the Erasmus Plus agency. In this project, different organizations from Europe and Turkey gathered to produce material that would be useful for professionals and for educators that works in their daily life with migrants and refugees.
The vision was how to enhance the skills of adult educators.
We had aimed 3 main outcomes. One is curriculum for the adult educators who works for migrants and refugees. And the second one was the self-assessment tools. This was mainly directed to the adult educators who works for the migrants and refugees. And the third outcomes was the social micro indicators.
All of them, and that's the advantage of working with Erasmus, have been tested, piloted, retested, repiloted in Turkey, in Sweden, in Spain, and the UK.
We were able to gather over 300 needs and capabilities from migrants or refugees themselves. So that allowed us to co-create this 5 life skills program, which it is from sustainable livelihood, passing through belonging and affection, and then going to other level of protection and prevention, then understanding and engagement, and to finish participation and social entrepreneurship. So those 5 life skills training areas are absolutely devoted to not only to cover but to enrich the needs and capabilities of migrants or refugees themselves. So as such, those 5 life skills, you will see them areas, 5 life skills areas, you will see them like that constant framework within the curriculum, within the self-assessment, competence self-assessment, and within the social micro-indicators. These 3 outputs, the curriculum, the self-assessment, and the social micro-indicators, were based on established theories and together with very close work with migrants and refugees themselves.
Most of the partners of the Erasmus projects, we are migrants and refugees, or former refugees.
It's made by and for migrant people. So we created during these 3 years a space for migrant people to give their voice.
When you are migrant, come to a new society, you start from the zero. And you have to really build up new things. It is not an easy task. I can understand the migrants and refugees from my own experience. Now I go back to Turkey and I work with the refugees, Syrian refugees in Turkey.
Because if you can't feel safe, not only from violence or wars, but also from that you have a situation where you feel sure that nobody wants to harm you, nobody wants to make you inferior or feel wrong, then nothing will happen.
Absolutely free for download, and then we work very hard in terms with something very important is the inclusivity and accessibility. So we've got it in 7 languages, as you can see, plus Braille in English.
We discussed about the educational materials that are here, when I saw this is a very good resources that we could use, and these resources has to be accessible to everybody. As others have been translating their language, blind people also have the right to have access to the material.
Personally, I've been working with Arab women, and I have several groups of Arab women in Madrid where I go and implement and develop these tools. And it's interesting to find the way to adapt these tools to different needs of communities. For instance, I work a lot with people, with women who cannot write and read Spanish, not Arabic. So one of the tools is completely adapted because we included, for instance, pictures. And so a part of the investigation that we did is try to make these tools accessible and inclusive for all communities.
Digital tools are related with the self-assessment and social micro-indicator. Allow the people to assess themselves. Either they are facilitator or mentor, or the students or the participants.
This is the first project that will investigate about migrant people in a micro level.
And what I have been very impressed with this morning, and so relieved to learn, is the practicality and rigor of what has been developed. That combination of rigor and compassion and care is not easy to accomplish.
I think being able to tap into that expertise of a diaspora network across the world to be able to address particular issues as they arise is one of the particular strengths of migration.
I am a real believer that big doors swing on very small hinges. In other words, I think that the work we do as various partners and organisations and communities may seem to us at times very, very small. In a sea and in a world of such overwhelming difficulty and pain, etc. But actually I'm convinced that as we do our part, the hinge that we provide, the relational connections and the work and the projects that we do can open doors to huge change and opportunity.
One of the key aims of the project was to prepare adult educators not only to work within their host communities, but be prepared to go whenever they are ready to go and train people in their countries of origin.
I've been here since the first day, which is 3 years, and in these 3 years I had a lot of experience. After 23 years I went back to Somalia in 2016 as an adult educator, but I was able to deliver a training the deputy mayor of 13 of the 17th district of Mogadishu. I learn a lot, I share a lot, and I deliver a lot.
So, and it's something which actually in workplaces, most of the women that we have and young people who are at different workplaces, they are now able to identify what is hate and what is crime, and they are actually able to stand up and talk about it and actually challenge it. We've been trained, we are now champions.
Yeah, this is the important thing. We need to educate the educators, because at the end of the day, they can educate the others as well. So it's a kind of circle. What we need to do, we have an energy, but the good things when we transfer this energy, and the others can go for us as well.
It's not only transferring the knowledge from here over there, but it's getting the soft skills, the needed soft skills of adult educators to be able to adapt and to make relevant decisions together with the people within their own communities. We aim to work with different sectorial organizations, from the formal, non-formal and informal education. With this, for example, we aim to disseminate also the digital tools, which really give much much higher accessibility for people in different countries.
Migrants and refugees as rebuilders. At a time when the debate around migration and refugees still continue to hit the headlines of pretty much every newspaper, and often for the wrong reasons. And being able to see as the collective, the different collective stakeholders, to really look at not just the problem but the solution, because the solution is within all of us. Nobody puts their child on a boat unless the water is safer than the land.
Safer than the soil, but from those whom Father Sky has cried upon.
We know and share that inclusion and belonging are collective methods of solving almost all our challenges. You and I know that when we feel we belong to something greater than ourselves, it is human connectedness.
Now they guide me so right, though my heart breaks and my legs can barely stand. All those who got here, or they didn't, or they might, who sailed when water became safer than the land. When the water became safer than the land. Your destiny and mine could not be planned. You got put here by our mother's loving hand, when the water was safer than the land.